Hello, Namaste, and Hare Krishna, my friends. I've had some requests to do predictions on the lunar yearly chart for Ireland and the UK. So I did some extra work on that. Why are we doing Ireland and the UK together? Because their yearly charts are exactly the same. So it works fairly easily to look at both. But of course, my focus will be a little bit more on the UK for obvious reasons. The lunar year for the coming year has just begun. It began March 29th, which was yesterday from where we are today, 2025. And it extends for 1 year until March 18th or 19th, depending on your time zone, of 2026. In Sanskrit, it is called the Chaitra Shukla Paksha, the Vedic lunar year. Interestingly, now I've already spoken about this. I've already done these predictions a couple days ago, primarily for the world at large, to some extent, and then for the most part for the U.S. But this is solely now for Ireland and the UK. So we had a partial solar eclipse on the first day of the Vedic lunar year, which, as I mentioned in the other video, is not good at all. An eclipse is a negative occurrence where one of the luminaries, the moon or the sun, are shadowed by Rahu or Ketu, one of the shadow planets. In this case, it was a partial solar eclipse on the first day of the Vedic lunar year, and the results, it primarily affects the ruler, the government officials, and or the judiciary. The Lord of the year in this particular year is Saturn. Saturn represents the people. People rise up against governments and institutions that are not representing the will of the people. Currently, many governments are careening toward their own self-destruction. They cater to the demands of activist vocal minorities or corporation and financial entities while ignoring or denigrating the mainstream majority. In other words, the people. Such subversive government provocateurs fund and incite conflicts and wars that have nothing whatsoever to do with the will of the people, and indulge in reckless and precipitous spending of the people's tax money, as we know, while ignoring the demands and needs of their own citizens. This is the Iron Age, Kali Yuga, the age of conflict, quarrel, and hypocrisy. Many people are in positions of power and authority that are hypocrites. What does that mean? They have no qualification. They don't know what they're doing, and a lot of times their motivation is pure corruption or self-indulgence. Subsequently, the people will rise up when Saturn is the Lord of the year. Okay, so we're going to go through the chart. Mars in the first house is what we have in the chart. And let me see. And the ascendant here is Gemini in the Vedic calculation. The good news is that Mars is not afflicted or aspected by any other malevolent planet. That's a good thing. So the following predictions may only have a minor influence. Mars in the first house causes a war-like attitude, which results in military preparations or expansion. There may be an increase in armed forces, and the country acquires new weapons. That is exactly what these two countries are doing as we speak, especially the UK. Ireland is doing it to increase their own defense systems, which they should do. Ireland is proverbially a neutral country, although sometimes I wonder about that. But you got to be able to defend yourself. However, neither country is under attack or the threat of attack currently. The UK is doing this to go to war with Russia on behalf of the Ukraine. The Ukraine is neither a member of NATO nor of the European Union, nor is the UK a member of the European Union. So what are you thinking exactly, Mr. Starmer? The next one, Pluto is situated in the 8th house of the chart, the house of death and undoing. It is afflicted by malevolent Mars. Afflicted means aspected. This can bring about increased mortality through assassinations, murders, suicides, large-scale massacres, mob destruction, and terrorist actions. Organized crime and gangland crime will be on the increase. Now that one, there's no ameliorating effect on that one. War is a factor with Mars's aspect on the 7th house of enemies. Mars is the planet of war. It doesn't mean he's always busy doing war. It just depends how we find him. This is how we find him. And the hapless Starmer seems to want to take the British into war in the Ukraine. Why? This could mean widespread death and destruction, my friends. And none of us wants that. The possibility of atomic warfare also enters the picture since Pluto represents nuclear weapons. It may also spur the Brits to develop or stockpile more nuclear bombs. There will be secret and subversive activities against the state through foreign agents and hidden forces. Strikes, boycotts, demonstrations, trade union protests, and marches will likely occur or continue to occur. Contagious and infectious diseases and epidemics may well appear. Cancer incidences will be on the increase. Now, I found a very interesting quote, coincidentally, like a couple of days ago, from a pathologist. And here's his quote. I'm now seeing an 8-year-old, a 10-year-old, and 11-year-old with colon cancer. We've never seen that before. We're seeing now 30-year-old, 40-year-old ladies with ovarian cancer. So this is a real phenomenon of a rise of cancer in younger people, or in people who would not typically acquire cancer in that age range. Anyway, that's the end of the quote. Saturn in the 9th house of the yearly chart. Saturn is conjoined with the shadow planet Rahu, 3 degrees apart. 3 degrees. They're this close together, my friends. It will lead to trouble and disputes in legal and religious spheres. Enactment and enforcement of oppressive laws is possible, especially in the realm of labor and unions. Strikes in shipping, railways, trucking, motor transport, and airlines are possible. Difficulties with travel affecting these various systems are also possible, resulting in delays as well as disasters and many deaths. An afflicted Saturn in the 9th with Rahu may cause the death of the ruler in power. It will be difficult for the government to enter into productive treaties and profitable trade agreements with foreign countries. Foreign trade will suffer and there will be a decline in the nation's exports. Immorality among the citizens will likely increase during the coming year. People will likely become more materialistic. Black market and underground businesses and trade will carry on largely unchecked by the government. The nation's mortality rate will increase, particularly among prominent people in various fields. Businesses and business people will suffer greater losses in the coming year. The nation's emissaries and diplomats will have a hard time finding a sympathetic ear. It is less likely for the common people to rally around their current government. They'll be scratching their heads and wondering what the current government's policies are actually trying to achieve and why are they so ineffective. Lunation in the 10th house. Lunation is the conjunction of the sun and moon together. We could call it the new moon. We could call it the dark moon, because that's when the yearly chart begins. So lunation in the 10th house indicates a mixed result in this yearly chart. In some ways, the government may make progress and bring prestige to the prime minister. However, this house is also afflicted by the conjunction of Saturn with the shadow of Rahu. This could bring about the death of the ruler, or deaths among royalty and nobility. Well, if that's true, that's got to be the UK, because there's not much royalty and nobility here in Ireland, where I currently live. At least not that I know of. And there is likely a loss of national honor arising from some critical circumstances in the ruling government. An eclipse falling in the 10th house can be disastrous. That's where the eclipse occurred, according to the yearly chart for the UK and Ireland, in the 10th house. That's the ruling government primarily, among other things. So here's the explanation. With Saturn in conjunction with the eclipsing planet Rahu, the people will be angry and disaffected with their government. Activity and movement in the armed forces is indicated. Now, I'll be repeating myself from time to time, only reading what each of these things means in the different houses. And the more you hear it, the greater likelihood there is of that occurring during the coming year, whatever that thing may be. There's several things that will repeat themselves, believe me. Sun and moon in the 10th house. The government and its ministers will be up against some real challenges. The country's image in the world loses credibility. Some of the government's programs may succeed, but the ones that the people are really wanting and watching will be plagued by problems. Being afflicted by Rahu, and to a lesser extent Saturn, may result in insurmountable difficulties for the government, which may bring on the ill winds of defeat and disgrace. Both the government and the party in power come under severe public criticism and negative propaganda. The nation finds it difficult to realize its goals, and it does not obtain most of the monetary and trade concessions it had hoped for in its dealings with other countries. It will be difficult to bring the armed forces up to the required level of effectiveness, whatever that means. Military officers may rebel against the government's policies or direction. This is not the time to enter into war or military hostilities. Religious leaders can expect a further loss of honor and respect from the people. Mercury in the 10th house in Pisces. Mercury in the 10th house in Pisces is debilitated and also traveling retrograde or in backward motion. It is also afflicted by 3 planets. You probably already know them by now. Rahu, Saturn, and Neptune. This can mean communication among the people and the government will break down and become largely adversarial in nature. There will be discontent, personal attacks, and libel within the government and recrimination in the press. Well, that's easy to find, recrimination in the press, especially the British press. They do that better than anybody, if that's what you call it. Treaties and agreements with other nations will be problematic. Government efforts to bring improvement programs for youth, children, and educational institutions will falter. Productive business and agriculture will not be properly served or encouraged. Imports and exports will face new or further challenges and/or tariffs. Air and railroad transportation industries will suffer setbacks, losses, and/or disasters. Venus in the 10th house in Pisces is exalted and also traveling retrograde or in backward motion. It is also afflicted by the same three planets as Mercury. They are Rahu, Saturn, and Neptune. Since the peaceful planet Venus is severely afflicted by three separate malefic or malevolent planets, it will likely bring greater controversy in government and create discord among the people. It may bring warlike conditions to the nation or even war itself. The monetary condition of the nation will worsen, and financial relationships with other countries will result in trade or financial losses or defaults. The nation will make little or no progress for the betterment of women in the country. The people will become disillusioned by being reduced to a lower standard of living or even poverty. Highly placed persons will suffer from epidemics, especially influenza. It will be difficult for the government to enter into productive treaties with other nations in order to attain peaceful conditions. The nation's positive image abroad will be overshadowed by their own misdirected policies. Politicians who indulge in intrigues are revealed as corrupt, and some become exposed due to sex scandals. Corruption will be rampant in the law courts. Neptune in the 10th house, afflicted by both Saturn and Rahu. Neptune in the 10th house will reflect little credit on the Prime Minister, who may get himself in hot water on more than one occasion. It may bring disgrace and humiliation on the government and his ministers, as well as other highly placed persons and members of Parliament. Foreign countries and allies will look askance at the goings-on in Britain or Ireland. That's already happening in Ireland. I won't even explain it to you. As soon as the government took power, they had an election in November. It's been a conflicted parliament since that time, and we're already in April almost, and they haven't come to an agreement on something that's extremely important. So there it is. Foreign countries and allies will look askance. Okay, I said that. We may also witness the abdication of the Prime Minister in power. Homegrown enemies as well as foreign agents may work to defame the Prime Minister with a view to his removal. This is reminiscent of Prime Minister Liz Truss, who assumed power from September to October of 2022, a solid month of service to the people before she was brought down. Yeah, I don't know if you can beat her record. I don't know what's going to happen here to Mr. Starmer. So what we are seeing here are elements of conspiracy, intrigue, disloyalty, and treachery against the powers that be. Okay, almost done. The fishing industry and businesses related to liquids and oils will suffer, which includes the oil industry or oil imports, as well as wet natural gas, which is mined from the ground. There may be differences of opinion between the government and the armed forces, especially the Navy. Okay, my friends, there you go. There you go. I threw a lot at you. I mean, there's even more, but that's plenty. You know, we've gone 20 minutes already. So, in conclusion, I'm going to repeat what I did in the previous predictions that I put up 2 days ago of lunar year 2025. Why are these unwanted circumstances happening in our time? My guru, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, who's no longer with us and has left the planet many, many years ago, a few decades ago, but we love him. This is what he said way back then. Due to a lack of spiritual practice and understanding, people are suffering. Oh, they want to have a referendum here in Ireland to take the word God out of their constitution. That's the latest thing that they're trying to indulge in, to bring into being. Continuing with my Guru Prabhupada. Under the false impression of being independent, they commit all kinds of acts which generate negative karmic reactions. You know what it means, my friends. What goes around comes around. Everybody knows that. Even people in the jungles off in the middle of nowhere. Everybody knows that. Not understanding or caring about the consequences, people foolishly think they are free to do whatever they want. But when the accumulated volume of negative karmic actions becomes too great, we collectively suffer the consequences in the form of earthquakes, epidemics, floods, storms, volcanoes, pestilence, and war. They are helpless to prevent them, and therefore they receive their punishment through the triumvirate of material life's miseries. So what is this triumvirate of misery? Number one, adhyatmic miseries are caused by the body or the mind. That's you within yourself. Whatever causes you pain, sorrow, suffering, or misery. Number two, adibautic misery caused by other beings, that is people or animals. Adidaivic miseries caused by nature, such as natural disasters or epidemics, even fake epidemics like the last one. Our civilization, okay, that's the end of what the Prabhupada quote, my guru's quote. Our civilization is heading toward collapse. Why? These are the reasons. There are 8 reasons. Industrial animal slaughter. You cannot kill animals on an industrial scale and think that there's no negative karma. Number 2, abortion. Killing of babies, that is human beings in the womb. You think there's no negative karma for that? Go look in the mirror. Tell yourself that. Number 3, amorality, the descent into anything goes behavior. Everything's cool. Everything's okay. 4, collapse of the traditional family unit. Who do you think came up with the concept of the traditional family unit? I dare say God did. Number 5, establishment of gender dysphoria and confusion as a legitimate alternative lifestyle. Gender dysphoria, or confusion about what your gender is. I identify as ... and these are my pronouns. This is a a dysfunction according to psychology. It's been on the books for ages. It means an imbalance, a psychological imbalance. And if 3% of the people, God bless them, have this, it doesn't mean that we now call it an alternative lifestyle for the majority. No, my friends, no. Number 6, there's 7 of them, I guess. Number 6, millions reject dharma, which is virtue, and pursue dhana, which is money, or kama, sense enjoyment, at any cost. And the final one is corruption and personal gain to the detriment of the whole. It's all about me. It's nothing about you. If I can get mine and you don't get yours, or you lose out, or I can pull the wool over your eyes, aren't I clever? No. You don't think there's going to be negative karma for that? You know there is. Okay, concluding. According to universal time and its ages, or seasons, we are currently in the winter of our discontent, known as Kali Yuga, the age of conflict, corruption, and hypocrisy. Everything is backwards. Everything is upside down. Governments destroy freedoms. Lawyers destroy justice. Universities destroy knowledge. Doctors destroy health. Media destroys information. And religions destroy spirituality. So that's the time in the grand scheme of things that we are currently going through. My friends, I wish you well. I wish you the best. I know this is not the best result or predictions. I can only tell you what's there. If I'm wrong, wonderful. If I'm right, yeah, I can apologize if you want ahead of time. But I hope this has been of some insight, some value for you. I am here to serve, and that's what I'm trying to do. I wish you the best. And may God bless you. May Krishna bless you. Thank you.